Yo, it's Bader. I just want to talk about some pitching. That's what I'd like to do. Talk about some pitchers in the last 80 years since 1944. So I was looking at one of my favorite pitchers and I was looking up his stats and doing kind of dive into it. And I'm like, man, I'm kind of blown away by this guy. And I noticed that nobody really talks about him much. And so I want to see how he ranked against the other pitchers in the last 80 years. So I looked into this and it shocked me. But here's a question for you. Who has the lowest ERA for any pitcher that has pitched 2,000 innings or more since 1944 for his career? Since 1944 until now, all the pitchers, all their careers, who's got the lowest ERA? And then, can you rank them? Can you name the top 10 or 12? Because I looked into this and there's only 12 that have been under 3 for an ERA. All right, so pause the video, think about it, and write them down. I would have been way off. I would have been off on a couple of these. So we're going to start out here at number 12 because there's 12. And I got a card for each player here that I had to painstakingly dig out of my binders and nooks and crannies and everything else. So here is number 12, the great Pedro Martinez. And I think there's a strong argument that you could say that he might be, at the peak, the best out of the whole group. So he had an ERA of 2.93. That's the great Pedro. All right, number 2, kudos if he is on your list in top 12, because he would not have made it for me. Again, 2,000 innings or more. If we changed it and made 1,500 innings or 1,200 innings, this would definitely change a lot. But here we go. Dean Chance. He was number 11, just missed the top 10, and his ERA was 2.92. All right, now this guy, I think a lot of people would have put him in the top 5. That would have been a guess, I think, for a lot of people. And that would be Bob Gibson, just making the top 10 list. And he had a career ERA of 291. He was super dominant, but then again, it wasn't that pitcher-friendly era. And then right behind him on his heels is Juan Marichal. Juan Marichal is number 9 at 289. All right, here's another one that might be miss somebody's list, and he's the only one out of all of them who started his career before 1944. He had 2 dominant years when everybody went off to war. He won 2 Cy Youngs in a row, 2 MVPs. But that's Hal Newhouser. And if you just count from 1944 on, he has a 2.87 ERA. However, if you count his stats before then, he was up to 3.06. And here we go. This is a beautiful card. I actually really love this card. Number 7, we got Tom Seaver. That's a good looking card. Tom Seaver, 286. And there's a 3-way tie. And they're in order of highest, but there's just fraction points off. So Tom Seaver at number 7. Number 6, until I looked into this, honestly, I had never even heard this guy's name before. I had no idea who he was. So number 5, Andy Messersmith. Also at 286. And I had to go and pull this out of my binder. Here's his rookie card. I didn't even know what this thing was. But now I'm fascinated to learn more about this guy. The guy who's number 6 in the last 80 years in a career ERA. Number 5, this guy is criminally underappreciated. And that is Jim Palmer. Is Jim Palmer also 286? He is 5th in the last 80 years, but he is super high on wins, played with one team the whole time, high in the Cy Young Award voting like almost every single year. Very, very underrated. Okay, now this guy is the one where a lot of people would say, I think pick this also as a top 1, 2, or 3. And here is the great Sandy Koufax. Sandy Koufax, ERA drops down all the way down to 276 for a career. He was phenomenal, though his career was short. And just ahead of him, at 275, is Whitey Ford. So Whitey Ford takes the 3 spot. which brings us down to the 2 position. And the 2 position is the whole reason why I dove into this whole thing. I think this guy was incredible. And you look at his stats, and when he started in his career, he started at like 28 years old in the majors, played till he's 49. As soon as you have that information, you probably know who this guy is. That's Hoyt Wilhelm. Career ERA, an incredible 2.52. Who talks about Hoyt Wilhelm? I love his cards. I really love his 54. I'd really like to get his rookie card and the high series 52, which isn't a great looking card, but it's high series, it's a rookie, it's a 52. Phenomenal. Look at the back of one of his baseball cards and just look at how many seasons he had with an ERA under 2. Blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. And that brings us down to number 1, which is, but actually it's not in a sleeve, so it actually fell down. Number 1, Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw has an ERA of 2.5, but he's still active. And unless he can keep being what he's been doing, he's probably going to fall down that list to probably number 2, 3, 4 by the time his career is over. But he has been absolutely dominant. And I'll mention a couple other things too. I think there's 2 players that really stick out to me out of this list. And a lot of people would talk about Bob Gibson or Sandy Koufax. But if you looked at all of these, I wrote this down, 5 of these players had, out of the top 12, had a massive, like their whole, the dominant portion of their career was from 1963 to 1968, which was an incredibly friendly environment for pitchers. There's never been a better, in the last 8 years, never a more optimal time to be a pitcher. And I think when I look at that, it for me, it lowers what they did a little bit. I don't want to take away or anything. But when you look at Pedro, what Pedro did in his time, he was at an incredibly offensive time where offenses were great. And he was so far beyond other pitchers. So another way to look at this too is you can look at ERA plus to show you how good you are compared to other pitchers. And this guy's career, 154 ERA plus. Kershaw's 154 plus. Third on that list out of all these people that we mentioned is some guy where, again, deep dive, love the guy, is Hoyt Wilhelm, 1.47. After that, the closest one to any of them is Whitey Ford at 133, Sandy Koufax at 131. Anyway, that's it. I just want to show you a top 10 list of lowest career ERA since 1944 and shed a little bit of light on a couple people. One is Hoyt Wilhelm. Dean Chance is that's interesting. And still, again, it blows me away that I have never heard of Andy Messersmith. That guy again, one more time. All right, hope you enjoyed it. Bader out.